going live with Pierre Leichner once more. Instagram should be connecting us both from home to home. As you can see, this is my little garden here. Oh, hey, Pierre.
Are you there?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks so much. I'm not sure what happened outside.
I don't know. I was going to go outside to show you the garden and some of the work I do outside. But it cut out, I guess, when I stepped outside.
I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, I can hear you now very well. And yeah, unfortunately, sometimes tech is quite challenging there. But I was hoping we could start off and just tell our audience and our viewers here a little bit more about yourself and the mediums of art that you practice.
Okay, so thank you. So I'm going to kind of scale it down. I'm not going to go outside. I'm going to stay inside the house because, well, it's a little more secure, unfortunately. I may go out towards the end. Well, essentially, the thing is that first I want to acknowledge that I'm very fortunate, and I live in North Van and on a Squamish territory. Beautiful house, beautiful ground, and the grounds and the nature outside my house help me connect with the work I do. Because a lot of the work I do is drawn from the fact that I think, unfortunately, we have gotten disconnected with our environment, nature, if you wish, and this has allowed us to damage and to disrespect our environment, which is part of the mess we are in now. So a lot of my work as an environmental artist kind of revolves around helping or talking about how to reconnect to our environment in a more respectful and thoughtful and mindful way. So, in essence, when I tackle a project, I usually do some research around it, and I try to develop it and apply an artistic modality to the issue that I'm looking at, which means that I don't have one specific medium. So I actually work from the ideas. I start with the ideas of things I'm trying to look at, and then the mediums that are suitable come up to me as possibilities. So I am what you call this multimedia bricoleur, if you want, handyman. I do a bit of everything, and I do it in my personal practice, and I do it also in my community arts practice, which involves doing and working on these issues with community groups that may or may not be artists at all. For example, I was working now with North Van, Harry Jerome, the youth there, about recreation and art. I was going to do a project on with a francophone community in Maillardville on the identity of francophone identity there, and there I was going to work with block printing. With the youth, I was working kind of abstract painting and paints. So I use a lot of different medium according to what the topic is. And when I do actually get involved in working on a medium, I also like to apply different modalities, because I believe anyway, that to really understand an issue, you have to look at it from different views. So I might start with painting, and then I'll end up in sculpture with it, always on the same theme. And I might even go to sound. And even at times, if the project suits it, I might even do taste. I might even do gustatory experience of adapting this concept. What does it taste? What would taste look like in that concept? So I'm a bit quite varied in my mediums.
Some of your art is edible, for example, because you're choosing to highlight that taste, maybe, or explore that.
Oh yes, actually I have, and we may get to that a little later, as I have a collaborator that works with me, and I'll introduce it to him very shortly, in a little while, who tries to, in fact, make recipes and has recipes on how to create things that the taste of emotions, for example. And so, yes, I try to include that in my works if I can, if it makes sense. Interesting. So, Yeah.
Yeah. My next question was going to be about what you've been up to lately. Obviously, there have been many changes in the arts community around how we're able to host discussions with groups or do collaborative art projects with the community. Would you mind sharing a little more about how those changes have been for you?
Right. So, of course, there's been as I mentioned, the reality of some postponements and delay of some of the activities, particularly the ones that involve community contact. So that's kind of all getting postponed, and hopefully within the next few months, we'll get back to that. So a lot of my work now has been more obviously around the house and through, fortunately, let's go, an area which is not my favorite area. It is, of course, my
home office.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
My computer screen, and what I was going to show you, and I don't know if I can reverse the screen on this. Can I?
In the top left of this screen, maybe I can point to it. There should be 2 arrows, and that's how you should be able to switch it.
Okay.
It worked. Fantastic.
Okay, so there we are. So here is obviously my computer screen, and one of the projects I do is I do videos, and one of the projects I'm working on right now is a small file video call from Simon Fraser, and they're editing videos and going to show small file videos, and by small file that means 5 megabytes, very small. So that's one project I'm working on right now for videos. And then, of course,
I was just going to say your videos, I think you've got quite a few of them on your website, right? Would you mind sharing what your website is for everyone to check out more of those?
Right. And so, I mean, actually, some of my videos, let me just, I hear somebody coming, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me introduce you to some my colleague here that's a video maker, okay? He's a good friend of mine. I hope, come here for a second, will you please?
Yeah, let's meet him.
Yes. Yes. Oh, hello there.
Hello.
Yes.
So
Bonjour,
great to meet you.
Bonjour, Andrew. How are you?
Bonjour, yes. I'm very good, thank you. And
okay,
this is,
well, yes?
This is the magical Dr. Legume.
Exactly, it is Dr. Legume, and very shortly I'll tell you the story. About 10 years ago, I got very concerned about plastic in the garden, exactly, in the nature, everywhere. So I decided, that is me, I became a plastic surgeon for legumes, for vegetables, to save them because they were getting entrapped. Can you imagine? A beautiful cucumber or tomato trapped in a Coke bottle. Unbelievable. Everywhere. So I developed a technique, surgical techniques, and I actually put them all on video, YouTube, yes. You can see them at Dr. Legume, DRLEGUMS, and they're there. Plus other work, which is always around this preoccupation I have to make us better connected with our environment. And so this is a place where some of these videos are, including I have good relationships with animals as well, because they are very much more in tune with the environment. Birds, and more recently, worms. Yes, earthworms. And that may well be something that for the show, the upcoming show that we're going to have.
Wow.
Yes.
We may see.
Yes, and I've been...
Yeah, May 30th and 31st, Art in the Garden Live will be
exactly.
We hope to see you
yes.
there. That sounds very
yes, and they are very happy, and they are very looking forward to working with you and Pierre to make some artwork on the first. But I won't talk too much. I'll let Pierre come back so he can tell you a bit more about the work he's doing in his studio. Okay?
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Bye for everybody else.
Bye.
And I'm Dr. Legume, and à bientôt.
À bientôt. That means see you soon.
All right, here we are. He's gone.
Hello,
he's
Pierre.
fine. He's a great guy. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you? Yes. So So Dr. Legume always keeps me going, and that it makes sure that I don't take myself too seriously, which is really, again, a very important part for me. So let me just go to show you a bit about my studio and the work that I'm doing, because there's quite a bit. So as we go down here, I'll just briefly talk to you about my doors, because I have an interest in gravitational waves, and I've been doing work on using doors and spinning doors.
If you could step back one little bit, I think I can see a little more of the piece. Oh, wow. The whole door.
So I do kind of spinning paintings. Now, this one is not typical of work I do, actually, because the other ones include black hole things, but I am doing work to express the beauty and the mystery of gravitational waves and gravity using gravitational forces. And I have used doors because a scientist once said gravitational waves will open the door to our understanding of the universe. In any case, here is my studio. And as you can see, it's kind of a mixture of things. I mean, there is, for example, there's some equipment, a saw, drill, so on, woodworking equipment. I also have, here I have my printing for some of the photographs. I do some of the photography for my...
Internet might be cutting out a little bit here, perhaps in this room. I think it might just be perhaps a couple too many steps away from the router.
Yeah, I think we got to come back. I got to go back upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For another time, you'll have to check out the videos in order to see.
Unfortunately. Yeah, I think I can't go in there. It's kind of starting to lose it. Right?
Yeah.
So I can't show you.
Unfortunately, that's the reality.
Okay, so some of the work that I do around down there was I've been doing some block printing using, again, the issue of worms and the fact that the theme to that work is that we pollute our gardens with all these fertilizers and these herbicides and these chemicals. And of course, that is obviously, as you might expect, the earthworms don't really, it's toxic to them, which means that they either die or don't do well, which means the earth becomes poor, and therefore we have to put more fertilizer on it, and so on and so on. So it's, again, this indirect way of getting the message out there that really we should be avoiding chemicals and so on, non-organic natural chemicals on all we do in our gardens. And this is, and I do painting, they do paintings, and they do with me. As well as I was going to be, I work with music. Not that I'm, what I was going to do is let you listen to some of the music I listen to, rather, when I work. And I have, downstairs, I have a good sound system. And it helps me with my, just feeling good. I mean, that's, there's no doubt that working with music puts me into a different space, if you want. There's a bit of a experience or different transcendental kind of experience that happens. So
do you find any particular genres might speak to, or do you have any favorites? Do you have any genres that speak to some of the mediums you work with, or do you like all genres?
Yeah, I must say that, I'll be honest, I mean, actually, I do like most genre. It depends on the mood to some degree, from classical to jazz, to blues and so on, to singers, to opera. Yeah, so I am, whatever I put something on, and I basically let it flow. So and it goes from one to the other. So I'm pretty broad. Of course, I have my favorites to some degree. Probably the only thing I probably don't listen to is rap. while I'm working. I don't know why. That's probably the only thing I haven't developed a taste for and understanding enough to make it help me with my work. Because I also have to be able to not listen, so to speak. I'd be able to focus on my work at the same time. So if it's too much text or too much voice, then it's difficult. But yeah, so that's another aspect. So I do use music to help me in my work. And I'm really looking forward actually to the collaboration that's going to happen with the garden, Day in the Garden.
Yes, and so that is something everybody can check out at northvanarts.ca. And throughout the whole month of May, we want to make this a month-long event because we are all in this week by week together as artists, as art lovers, as community members. And so we look forward to seeing you again on May 30th and 31st. For everyone else to watch, Pierre is going to be one of the artists collaborating on a live stream on our Instagram. And Pierre is going to be live streaming and collaborating with our next week's guest, Paul Silvera. So you can check out a little bit more of that later on. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much, Pierre, for joining me on this live stream. I know with tech, it's always a challenge because they send updates every month, honestly. But we're so glad to have your insight. And is there
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Is there any way artists can learn more about you or the community can support your art?
Well, thank you. Obviously, you know, if you want to know more about I do have a website at leichner.ca, Leichner. And I have my Dr. Legume YouTube website where I do have a lot of the videos that I've made over the years around this theme, as also other themes that are more political or sometimes more metaphysical on there. So that's important. I am involved as the artistic director for the Vancouver Outsider Art Festival, and that occurs every year in August at the Roundhouse. This was going to be our 4th year. It's an important occasion for us to support the category of this group of dedicated, excellent artists that are outsiders for variety of reasons. And so it's something that is very important to me as well. But of course, this year, we're still struggling to figure out how we're going to make that happen, since we're not going to be doing it. It's unlikely that it will happen in August. So we may have an online version and so on. So that's another activity. And of course, as well, I work with Galerie Gachet downtown. This gallery is very important in promoting artists, but also getting work out that challenges social inequities and gives the chance to artists that may have a past lived experiences with mental health issues. So another area that I believe is really important. Some of this work is done through the Community Arts Council of Vancouver, and I got to thank them as well for facilitating some, for example, the Vancouver Art Festival. So, yeah, so I think that's other activities I have. The Vines Festival, I just briefly mentioned. The Vines Festival is an outsider. It's really a environmental art. So it is outside. It's an environmental art festival in August, and hopefully I will have some of my root sculptures, because I also do sculptures with roots. Both smaller but also larger. In fact, these will be cypress trees that have been growing in a container for years, and the roots have taken sculptural forms, which if it all works out, and if we do have a festival, will be on show in the second week, I think, of August. So just busy, basically, and hoping that soon I'll be able to reconnect with the community and some of the projects that I really like, because I think art is such an important part of our well-being, both individually, but also for our communities. And so many of us have not nourished the artistic part of us that allows us to feel better and to understand each other better. So.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about, is how can we still stay connected to the arts in our everyday lives, as well as to nature and to being outside when we're inside. How do we enjoy those kinds of things? Well, certainly there's a lot to look out for and check out in the summer. So I'm very glad that you've got lots of projects going, and can't wait to hear more about them as they progress. Well, if anybody has any remaining questions, we'll be uploading this hopefully to some other social media channels. So if you want to leave a comment or subscribe to North Van Arts or Pierre's social media at Leichner Art, I believe. Leichner.art. Leichner.art.
Leichner.ca. Or art at like, yes, art like, yes.
Exactly. So you can support local artists by visiting Art in the Garden online, checking out more of that. And if you have any questions at all, I think the best place to go to is northvanarts.ca to find out more of what we're up to during these times. So thanks so much, everyone. And we look forward to you joining us next week for our next Artist Talk Tuesday.